All right. All right, it looks like I'm live. Okay, let me check out some things real quick. Looking good on this end. Okay, while I'm waiting for some people to hop on, let me tell you about what's new with ACE Method Coaching. I'm going to share my screen. Just a quick update. I've started posting on my hurdling page, because when you come into my site, you have the option to go to the running world or the hurdling world. But on the hurdling side of things, I am now posting the fact that I'm doing these live weekly Q&As. I've been doing them at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I switched it today to 3 p.m. just because the Super Bowl is going on, and I didn't want to conflict with that. But I would be interested in feedback from people if there was a preference. What was a good time to do it weekly? I'm assuming that Sunday afternoons are good. Usually people are chilling, so I thought that would be good, but I'd love to hear what some people thought. I am getting quite a few people who are asking for video analysis. And when you go to my site, this nowadays will direct you to my Team ACE, which I will talk about in a little bit. But also, there's always a lot of people downloading my 6 techniques to level up your hurdling. This is a really good video that shows you what technique you need to be doing to be a good hurdler, and it would apply to anybody. It's really good. Let's see here. Like I said, it's been a good week. I've sold a few of these. I've several of my hurdle training plans, and I've added 3 new athletes to my hurdler subscription plan. In case you don't know what that means, that is, these are people that are paying a low $29 a month, no commitment, quit anytime subscription just to have access to me, unlimited correspondence, to be able to ask as many questions and get very quick answers. I try to do them literally as fast as I can. By the end of the day, usually. Also, they send me a lot of videos to look at. I'll give you an example. Here's somebody just this week, in fact, just the last few days, sent me all these videos and voice messages. I'm able to look at them, send them videos back, voice messages back, and it's back and forth with questions and videos and texts and voice streams and things like that, and it goes really well. I've got people from around the world. For some reason, several people in South Africa, Australia, but obviously in the United States. Let me go back to where I was. So that's going really well. Starting to get a lot of discussion from coaches who are wanting to bring me on as their hurdle coach, because in case you don't know it, a lot of schools don't have hurdle coaches. Or they might have somebody that's serving as a hurdle coach, but really don't have a hurdle background and they don't know a lot. It's amazing how many athletes and or coaches or people say, yeah, they basically watch your videos, meaning my videos, to learn how to do things. Well, that's why I set this up, is why not let me be your hurdle coach? And that's only $49 a month. And I also have a season pass if you want to do it cheaper for the 3 months. And that's starting to really take off. And then Team ACE, I've added 8 new people into it. I've just started a few weeks ago, up to 25. This is a free community that we have for people to learn, to come in, more of a community feel. So I've got my announcements on here. If you want to submit a video for me to analyze, they're doing that here. And those are the videos that you're seeing on these live streams. And then there's also a lot of question and answer going on. People asking questions and I'm answering them, but also other hurdlers in the community are able to chime in and give their opinion on things. And I just pin my answer to the top, but I'm happy to hear other people's ideas because there's lots of good experiences and ideas and things that I didn't think about. So that's going really well. Then also I have workouts that I'm providing for people here. For the time being, this is a free community. I'm going back and forth on my thoughts and I don't want to make any changes until I feel more confident about it. I said one thing last week, but this week I'm thinking something different. I'm thinking that right now that it's probably going to always be a free community, but I might have some of the services that are on there pay to be able to get to. Like, I'm not really sure yet. But anyway, again, I would love to hear people's thoughts on that. In fact, in here, I've got a suggestion box where people can ask me questions, give me ideas, things they think that would be better for this. So I'm really just trying to do my best to help people the best that they need. So I would love to hear from you. So let me go back to how things are going here. Actually, what I should have done is stayed where I was because I'm getting ready to now look at some videos. I've had 5 videos come my way this week. And I just realized that even though I thought that I was prepared, I'm not totally prepared. Let me open up my software, my analysis software. And I have them all ready to go in a file, so that won't take long for me to open up. Give me a second here. Let's see here. I have so many video files. And I have it as live stream. Okay. So before I do want to just check to see what I'm seeing on YouTube. Looks like I've had 6 people, 4 people are here right now, and it might be some of you who have sent me videos. So I'm going to jump right into that. Let me tell you what I've got. I'm first going to look at video from Brianna, and then somebody whose real name I don't know, because it was just the Discord name of Muswald, has a 14-year-old daughter. I'm going to take a look at that. Somebody named Garrett, Imane, and time permitting, and depending on if I'm getting any questions, I'm going to go back to a few people who I've already reviewed their videos in previous weeks, and now they're sending back some updates. But I always want to give priority to people who are first time in here. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to go to see Brianna first. She has a vertical video here. So let's check it out. Let me first double check, make sure I've got the right thing going on. Reviewing video, yes. Yes, okay. I haven't looked at this. Usually I like to look at them first just to make sure I don't embarrass myself when I'm live. I guess I'm gaining confidence. Okay, so running in the grass, not a big deal. It's a good way to learn how to hurdle because if you fall, it's a lot more forgiving than a track. But Brianna, you look great. But let me tell you some things. What I'm noticing first, and it makes it a little bit difficult to review when a person's really not running their fastest, because hurdling is an absolute sprint. You really want to be sprinting on the 100 and 110 meter hurdles, sprinting as fast as you can, and running in between, up to the hurdle and in between hurdles, and then going over the hurdle is really an exaggerated running step. So if you understand sprint technique, it kind of makes sense. But so one thing I'm noticing is because you're kind of jogging, you don't have the right amount of steps to the hurdle. The other is because you're not going full speed, it's going to put you really close to the hurdle. And when you're running full speed, you're probably at least twice this distance back. It's usually about 7 or 8 feet back. I don't know what that is in metrics, but about back here. So you can see it makes it difficult for me to give a real good analysis because it changes everything. And also whenever you're this close to a hurdle, in order to get your body over this hurdle, you have to take a very steep angle, right? So if you do that to not hit the hurdle, that means you have to keep going up over the hurdle, reach the peak somewhere outshot of this video that you've sent me, and then you drop down another side, so it puts you really high. But let me just look at what you sent me. The way your leg is going underneath here, your right leg is actually good. Okay, I can see that I take that back, it started out good, but right here I can see that your leg is now swinging out, so you're actually rotating your hip inward because I can see the bottom of your shoe. I can tell that your foot is torqued out, and you're doing that because you're too close to the hurdle. Otherwise, if you brought your leg straight up, you'd kick it right here and hit your shin. So you are subconsciously swinging it around to not hit. And then look how high that puts you over the hurdle. So running slow makes you jump too high. Keep that in mind. Being too close to the hurdle makes you jump too high. Okay. So still, I mean, you are probably, if I look at the bottom of your leg, that's probably at least a foot too high over the hurdle. Keep in mind though, let's see here, if your right foot is forward, your left arm should be back, bent at about 90 degrees, and so your shoulder, elbow, hand about right here by your hip is the way it should be. And then your left arm, I should be able to see it somewhere out here in front of you to counterbalance your right leg. So to simplify that, as you go over with your right leg, you want to lean into it and then have your left arm go forward and your right arm go back. And then as you're coming down off the hurdle, everything switches. Your left leg will go forward, and then your arms switch too, where your right arm will go forward and your left arm will go back. But the problem that you've got going on, because you were so high, now you've got to land. I shouldn't see, if you watch a really experienced hurdler, if I were to look at your waistline or your hips, they hardly go up or down at all, but yours have to drop, 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 drop. And now your toes have touched the grass, but you still have a lot to go. And because you were so high, I can already predict what's going to happen here is this knee is going to bend. And that's because gravity's pulling you down and it's going to pull you into the grass. So let me see if I'm right. Boom. Look at that. Boom. Boom. Your knee didn't bend so much, but you can definitely see how your whole leg is just collapsing underneath you. But also look how you're twisted around sideways. That's because your arms weren't right, but also because you were too high. And then, so your whole body is practically twisted around, upper body, because of that. And then you recover, and then you start jogging to the next hurdle. And then you do the same thing. Too close, too high, you got to swing your leg around, and too high of a jump. Arms are wrong, and then down, 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 and you collapse into the ground, and then you're twisted around crooked again. Your shoulders should always stay forward, okay? So my advice to you is, as you gain more confidence, run faster, jump from farther away, jump lower right through the top of the hurdle, lean into it, try to bring your lead leg straight through, your left arm straight forward, your right arm back, and then switch it as you come down. and it'll be a way different experience than what you have here. I hope that helped. Let me go on to the next one. It was going to be this one. Okay, so this is a 14-year-old girl. Ooh, ooh, whoa, she's got some talent here. Okay. Sometimes I get pretty excited about the videos that are sent to me. Okay, she's not a beginner. No way. Okay, let me go full speed again. Okay, definitely a talent, definitely an athlete. Really good for 14 years old. So I'm guessing high school freshman, definitely ran in middle school, but probably also maybe did some club track or something like that. I'm not sure, because she's not average. Okay, enough gushing. Let me see what I can help you improve on. Okay, so notice the landing on the heels. No elite hurdler lands on their heels. Okay, you want to get on the balls of your feet, and you want to get your feet striking underneath you. Especially this last step going into the hurdle. I'm not from the side, so it's going to be interesting when I see the next step. But normally I want to see these knees more in line with each other and not see this gap here. And you don't want to land with it out in front of you, because that's kind of putting on the brakes, and it sets you up to go too high. You want to actually have your step going into the hurdle to be a little shorter than the typical step, because it's almost like getting underneath you, and it almost makes you want to fall forward, which keeps you moving forward to oppose the natural inclination to want to jump high. So keep that in mind. Okay, now I'm looking at the plant, which in my opinion is too far forward. Now I'm going to look at the lead leg. I want to see this foot go higher up towards the butt, but it doesn't. So I would recommend really tucking. It's like when you're sprinting and you want to do like a butt popping from underneath. Same thing happens here. You want your heel to be on your butt right here, and then start to unfurl here. I can see, because I can see the bottom of the shoe, that she's swinging it out counterclockwise a little bit. The heel is turned, the hip is turned in and the foot is turned out. So definitely she needs to work on her lead leg to cycle through forward, not around from the side. And then also, just like I said, okay, too high over that hurdle, which I'm not surprised because of the plant of that leg. Okay, also, I like the angle though. I like the commitment and the drive into the hurdle, and the fact that you fully extended that plant leg, that really shows commitment. This is a really nice picture in terms of overall body positioning. But like I said, I'm not thrilled with the movement of the lead leg. And then also the lead arm is across the body. So you can see it across her face. It's probably lined up with your right shoulder, which means too much rotated the other way, which makes sense, because if you are swinging that leg around counterclockwise, you have to swing the upper body clockwise to counter it. Now, one sometimes drives the other. Often it does. And so I don't know if it's the lead arm is going too much one way so the leg has to swing the other way, or vice versa. It's going to take me too long to figure out, but just work on bringing them both straight forward. Will make a big difference. And then also drive your knee forward more. You'll be better. Okay, let's watch your descent. Okay, interesting. Probably because you brought the lead arm too far around. It's taking too far to come back. Like right here, this arm should already be pulled back a bit, and your hand should be by your knee here, what we call cutting off the knee or sweeping the knee. At this point, it should be back already. Probably because it had too far to return. It's going to mess up your balance a little bit. The other is, I got several things. I know that I was gushing at first because overall, you're there. If you make a few tweaks, you're going to be blazing fast. I don't like the fact that your arm is sticking out to the right. I can tell that. It should be shoulder here, elbow here, hand here, flat in that plane. But yours is breaking that plane coming out in this direction. So the arms aren't moving right either. So we have a lead leg that's not working properly. Arms are too open and not working properly. Let's look at the landing. I'd like you to be a little tighter in your ankles to be more on your toes, or we call the balls of your feet. Looking at the trail leg now. I like it. I like it. Except you're twisted, so you're having to fight some rotational forces that you always want to keep. Okay, this is a great picture here. If you haven't already seen my video, there's a couple, the video on techniques of Olympians. Look at both the men and the women, and you'll notice that when they're running between the hurdles, they're using really good sprint mechanics. The only thing that's changing is they don't lift their heels as high as regular sprinters do, because it's because it's faster to take 3 steps that way. But what the real point I want to get at is, if you want to reach the next level, you use those mechanics. So what I see wrong here is too bent at the hips. So you should be more straight up right now. Hips should be farther forward, your foot underneath you versus in front of you. But here's the real telltale sign, is the gap that we see here. That's huge. You really want this knee to already have caught up with this knee. So this foot needs to be a little more underneath you, but this leg needs to be farther back. And you might be wondering, how do I do that, right? Well, the way you do that is by minimizing your backside running, or what's called your heel recovery. So you stop trying to let it get behind you that way and run with what I call popping. So you want to have your heel come up and pop your butt from underneath. I have a video also about sprinting technique, which will be good for you. And I believe I have it in Team Ace because somebody asked a question about sprint technique. So go in there and see that video that I posted, because you're definitely too bent. Yeah, more of the same. God, you are really talented though. The way I'll tell you what I like a lot is the way, like if I look at can't see it because you're wearing black, but your waist here, that's an indicator for me. And I see your curve, like you don't jump really high. You could be lower than this, don't get me wrong, you could be lower, but it's not terrible. And then when you come off, there's not like a lot, like the video that I just did before, and the girl, you can just see her dropping before she finally touches the ground. I'm Brianna, and if you're still on and you're watching this, you'll see the opposite. I mean, her foot touches down right here, and you didn't see her hips drop very much. She's already running because she never got really high. So basically what I'm saying, I don't know your name on this video, but you're really good at keeping a low curve and just staying up really tall. You are a really good talent. Look at that. Look at that. So good. And anybody watching, you know, if you think, wow, I like this kind of coaching, I like this kind of coaching too. I like working with athletes like this. I like working with all athletes. But, you know, you can have me as part of the A subscription to look at this kind of stuff all the time. Anyway, super great job. You're really awesome. Okay, Garrett. And those of you who are watching live right now, if you have any questions for me, you can be saving them on the YouTube live right now. And as soon as I'm done watching these 2 more videos, I'm going to go check to see if there's any questions there. Okay, Garrett. Honestly, I know you're the one who won this race. So I got to figure out who you... Ooh. Okay, so that must be you right there. Okay. All right. Well, that's a short race. Okay. I wonder if that's a 60 meters outdoors. I bet that's what that is. Okay. So, Garrett, let's see what I got. Okay, definitely you came really straight up out of the blocks. Way too close to that hurdle. I think you are like inside the legs of the hurdle, which is going to definitely make you have to go too high. Okay. Yeah, whoa. Okay, and then you're also turned towards the camera. Okay, partly because you're too close to the hurdle, which makes you go too high, makes you have to bend your knee too much, and then also instead of bringing your right arm forward and your left arm back, you have both arms. No, I take that back. Ooh, trail leg action, way funky. It just drops right there. Let me see if I can get this should be better. Okay. Okay, so what you're doing here is what is very common. In order to reach the next hurdle in 3 steps, you're doing that, or you're accomplishing that by taking really long strides. I get it, but those are slow strides. So you never really end up building the speed that you need to get. What you need to do is try to run as fast as you can with proper mechanics and let the speed extend your steps out naturally. Okay, so this is farther from the hurdle than the one that I saw back there. So this is actually a better picture. But you're planting way out in front of you, like a pole vaulter planting a pole, bam, and now you're going to jump up. Okay, yeah, this is what I thought was happening. See how both of your arms are forward? This left arm should be going back. If you're, oh, I take that back. Oh, well, that's even worse than I thought. So if your left leg is going forward, wait a minute, Garrett. That is crazy what you're doing. No wonder you're all twisted up. Okay, left leg forward, 2, 3, left leg forward. Okay. Okay, it's not as bad as I thought. I got confused there. Okay, so you're bringing that left leg forward, but you have both arms forward. See, that's wrong. That left arm should be back. Sorry, I got confused for a second. Sometimes when I see a picture frozen right here, it's hard to tell which leg is forward and which leg is back. See what I mean? But you still have your left arm forward. Your left arm should be behind you. I should see your elbow about right here. Okay, so, and it's a big leap up. Yeah, so you're twisted. As I said in the other videos, your upper body and lower body have to oppose each other. So if both arms are forward at this point, your balance is thrown off. Now you got it straightened out, although both of your arms are kind of flailing. Legs actually at this point look good. And now we're switching. So your right arm is going to go back as your right knee comes forward, and they're actually in good position. That's what we call sweeping the knee or cutting off the knee. Okay. Okay, but see how you're falling backwards when you're getting ready to touch the ground? That's because you were too high. Okay, now at this point, when your foot is planted on the ground, actually it's not. It's hard to tell with that fence in the way. So actually, you're better off than I thought. Okay, so here's where your foot is touching, like your toes are touching, and your hips are actually in pretty decent position. This arm should be a little more up. This is good. But at this point, your knee should be higher. Similar to my previous video, I would recommend that you look at 6 techniques to level up your hurdling from my website, but also my technique from Olympic hurdlers, and you'll see that all men, when they come off the hurdle, as opposed to women, is because men's hurdles are higher, women's are lower. When a man drops, it's farther, so their knee is going to be higher. Okay, so the fact that your knee is low like this is not right. So we need to work on your trail leg action. You see the big bend in your knee here? That's a collapse because you were too high and you're falling down and gravity's pulling you down. And then we got some big stretched out landing on your heel running. And then here we go, back to the same thing, up, 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 arms flailing, out of balance, and then your trail leg just falling underneath you. Oh, also, I don't know if you can see it, but it over-rotated and it's kind of like too far to the left. So those are the main things. But definitely, I mean, obviously you beat your peers, so you've got some good things going on. I don't want to get into all the negative stuff. I love your attack. I love your aggressiveness. You look athletic. So if you just learn the fundamentals of hurdling, it'll help you a ton. Okay? So good job. All right, let me now go into Imane. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Okay, this always scares me running in the halls at school, because if you fall here, it could hurt. Okay, let's see what's going on here. And plus the camera behind you, I can't see everything. Okay. You are similar to the first video that I saw of Brianna in that, because I think you're just learning, I hope. So like if you were running the 100-meter dash without hurdles, my guess is you would run a little bit different than this, because I'm thinking like a lot of beginners, like absolute beginners, you've got some fear to go over the hurdle. You don't want to go full speed, because if you go full speed and you crash, it could hurt. So people like you tend to take little small steps and not be full speed because you don't want to crash into the hurdle. I get it. But the problem for me is that because that's not really hurdling, that's kind of like jogging and jumping and landing and jogging and jumping, landing. The technique is so different, it's hard to even give you any real feedback. But to tell you that you are doing right, you have a lead leg, you have a trail leg. Oh, you're taking 4 steps because you are switching legs between the hurdles, which at your speed, that's going to be necessary. Wait a minute. Your right leg, left leg. So you went, okay, you took 4 steps to the second hurdle and 5 steps to the third hurdle, and then 5 steps to the fourth hurdle, which tells me you probably prefer the left leg, because you keep wanting to go back to the left leg, even though you did the right leg first. I could be wrong. It's hard for me to tell. So, because it's really hard for me to critique what's going on, because I can't see it all, and I'm having to guess a lot. So first thing is, see if you could go over one hurdle fast, and then find out what speed you're comfortable with, and then we can decide what to do with the second, third, and fourth hurdle. Because what I'm seeing here, I don't know that you'll be able to three-step this season. I think best case scenario, you'll be four-stepping, which means you're taking 4 steps between the hurdles, which means you have to get good at both. I don't like anybody to 5-step. So my suggestion to you is to learn how to hurdle with both legs so you can become a competent 4-stepper. And then hopefully, as you get better, you can get faster and faster and then learn how to 3-step. But I don't think right now what I'm seeing is that's going to happen this season. So hope that helped. Learn how to do both legs so you can 4-step. Let me know if you have any other questions after this. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce back to YouTube, see if I have any questions, and then decide whether I'm going to see the other 2 videos that are repeats. And somebody with the language I don't recognize had a question and then retracted it, or a message. And I do have on here, I recognize that name. I believe that's Xavier. Let me know. And you're right. You got to hand it to her. She's got guts and better than a lot of people. So Bowser Jr. Plush Productions. I'm pretty sure that's Xavier. Let me know. So what I'm going to do then, since there are no questions here, I'm going to bounce back. I'm going to go look at Xavier's, because I think that's you. You know what? I can confirm that. I think I can. Could be wrong. No, I'm confusing you with Beefy McDrift. Okay. Okay, but I do recognize your name. That's quite an unusual name. Okay, so since I don't know, it gets confusing with all these, everybody has different names on different platforms. So real quick, I'm going to check the live stream. Oh, so yes, it is. Okay, Xavier, I was right. Okay, so I'm going to look at your video. And since nobody else has asked another question, I'm going to look also at Flynn. So let me go to here. Xavier. Okay. So this is recall here, my issue with your hurdling, Xavier, was that you tend to bring both arms a little forward, and then when you pull them back, they're a little bit kind of like behind you, almost like draping like a cape, and then landing, striking the ground too much on your heels, kind of a soft landing, and I wanted you to get rigid on your ankles and get up to the balls of your feet. Again, I see a lot of videos, but I recognize you there in the middle. And you're definitely racing with more competition in this race than your other videos that I remember. So now let me take a look. So people who are unfamiliar, this is Xavier right here. Let me zoom in. with, I think it's burgundy. Okay, so I like it. You are definitely making progress here because you've got your left leg coming up, your lead leg, and then you're leaned into it and you've got your right arm in a really nice position, and that was not the case before. And then also you would always keep your left arm, I'm not exactly sure, but I know it wasn't right. This time it's still not perfect, but at least your arms are in the right position and you're not leaning like this guy or this person. The thing I don't like about your left arm is it's straight behind you, and I'd rather see, always try to keep your arms at about 90 degrees. Okay, that's the simple way to think about it. So that means your shoulder would be in the right position, that you're squared, elbow here, but your arm would be down here. Okay, a little bit too high over the hurdle, but this right here, good job. I mean, your elbow is bent, your hand is close. You've heard me say this. Sometimes I say sweeping the knee. Sometimes I say cut off the knee or cutting the knee. The whole cutting thing is the one that I used my whole career. Recently, somebody told me they heard it as sweeping the knee, so I say both. But cutting the knee is, I always tell my athletes, imagine that you have a knife in your hand or a dagger. I don't know why I say dagger, because in this case, instead of having it forward, you want to have it coming out the back. And as you come down, as your knee comes forward and your arm goes back, if there were a knife there, you would cut off your knee, like you would slice your knee. And that's just this horrible analogy or metaphor to get your arm in the right position and your leg in the right position. So if anybody's watching. So that's better. It's sweeping back pretty decently. And then your arm, your right arm is coming through better than it was in the past. So good job. I hope that you PR'd here, because then that would prove you still kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little passive with the arm here. I'd love to see it bent at 90 degrees. And then when you pull it through, you want to pull it through fast, like really hard. And when you pull it through, you want to pull your hips forward with you, with that arm. And by pulling your hips forward, it makes your lead leg drop really fast. And then you'll be up to running fast. I'm surprised you hit that hurdle. Oh, you hit it with your heel of your lead leg. Yeah, so that's my thing. Definite progress. So good job paying attention. Yeah, I hope that was a PR. Let me know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the last one, which was Finn. Finn is joining my Ace Hurdler subscription. So he and I are going to be working together closely. I kind of hesitated playing a video here because I'm going to be working with him all the time, but I've had it as a backup just in case I don't have a lot of questions. Let me just bounce real quick to see. Finn does, I mean, Xavier has a question. I do have a question. I'm always on the balls of my feet for the first two steps, and then I heel strike the third. How do I keep my feet under me and stay on the balls of my feet? And yes, you PR'd, so good job. Good job. So I love it when my advice works. Sometimes, for people who are listening, I'll give somebody some advice. They'll try to make the change, and then they feel slower for a little while after that, and they don't do as well. There's a reason for that. That's because you've been doing something for one way a long time, and you've gotten relatively proficient at it. And even though I show you something better, because you're uncomfortable with it, you're not doing it confidently or as fast. And so sometimes a person has a little bit of a setback And then when they finally get comfortable with it, then they get a lot faster. It's the only way to get faster. So one of the reasons why, if it's a subtle change and you're in the middle of the season, no problem. But if it's a pretty drastic change, like fixing the way you pull your lead leg through or something, like I do have a kid in South Africa I work with, super talented, but he keeps his lead leg way too straight, and I got to change it. But in that case, it's going to be a drastic change, and he's in the middle of his season, and they're in their outdoor season, and I don't want to mess him up in his season. So I'm getting some sort of weird warning that I don't want to mess up my live stream. So anyway, so keep that in mind. Okay, so back to your question. Always in the balls of my feet. Here's the reason why. Because through the third hurdle, you've got good speed going on, and so you're able to run good. But then as you clear that third hurdle, or somewhere around that third hurdle, you're starting to lose speed. And because you're losing speed, even though it's subconscious, you know, I'm not going to get to that fourth hurdle on time. So I've got to stretch out in order to get there, and you start having to land on your heels again. That's what's happening. It's amazing the what's the word I'm looking for? The math and the geometry that goes on in your head subconsciously that you don't know. If you've ever seen the science of throwing and hitting a ball and stuff like that, it's amazing just what all the different math equations that your brain is naturally making in order to do this. Same thing happened. Your brain is realizing, I've got to reach that hurdle. I'm too slow. So you start running on your heels again. But the better you get, the faster you get, the more you can rely on speed and not elongated stride to get there, and you will be able to run on the balls of your feet the whole time. Okay, I don't see another question, so I'm going to bounce and see Finn's video. While I'm looking at that, if anybody has any questions to put on here, go ahead and do that, so they'll be ready when I come back. So let me go to Finn's. I should have been having a different screen. Okay, so okay. These are always tough for me to check out as a coach, because I like to actually see all the steps leading up to the hurdle. So people send me these, and I can't tell whether you're running full speed or jogging or what. But here's what I can tell is it's not bad. Kind of landing with a flat foot. Definitely, it's better than heels. Okay. All right. For those of you who are watching my videos up to this point, this looks good. He looks strong. See how his heel is way up by his butt? That's what I want. Because again, this step over the hurdle is just supposed to be an exaggerated running stride. And that's the way you sprint, or I should say sprinting stride. So then start to lean into it. This is good. Okay, what I'm looking for at this point, let me zoom in, is a good fully extended leg, which means really committed. The steeper it is, the better, and then farther back, because then you're going to be lower over that hurdle. But this looks pretty darn good. Looks really strong in the torso. The arm doesn't necessarily look like it's too far past the center line of the body. And for those of you today who have criticized your trail arm, this is what I was wanting you to have. Approximately 90 degrees. It's kind of like 100 to 105, I don't know, I'm guessing, degrees with the elbow, maybe 110. But it's certainly not straight behind him, and it's certainly not forward. It's behind him. So If the left leg goes forward, the right arm goes forward, the left arm goes back to be opposite of the plant leg. And then also notice, he's got a lot of good things going on. So if I look at the action of his lead leg, see how it's tucked here? It came forward through, which the girls who I videoed today swung their legs around from the side. And Finn is bringing his straight forward. So I like that a lot. So that's what I mean. If you need a visual, if you're going, what was he talking about? This is what I'm talking about. Okay. As I look at this, it's a good quality video. Okay. I just like to see the arm. And this is the same thing that Xavier did. At this point, the arm is too straight. And it's just sort of like flopping there, which is interesting because you went from being really strong here to like letting it kind of die there. And you want to keep it tight because it has to now come through on the other side of the hurdle powerful. And unfortunately, the way your camera angle is, I'm not like, this is good. So why it became so passive right here, I'm not, I think I know though. I think what you're trying to do is keep your wrist by your hips. And I get it. So it's not so bad. See, I can't see what's going on. But he sent another one. Let me see it. Okay, this should be good. Okay, you got some talent, buddy. Okay, so things I want people to notice. I'm just going to play this slow. I'll cut that off right there. Okay, notice the way I'm going to use you as a teaching example, Finn. His angle coming out of the blocks, he's strong, good driving out of the blocks. And even though, oh yeah, really good. Even though I'm not enough to the side of him, I can still see that when his feet hit the ground, right there, I'm seeing what's called a negative shin angle. I mentioned this last week. That means that his foot is striking the ground behind his knee, which is true drive phase, okay? So good job. He's really working on a low heel recovery, which means he's trying not to let his heels come up by his butt. And for those of you who are new to this and you're going, why is that a big deal? Because the trick is to turn over your legs as fast as possible. And you want to minimize anything that slows that down. And letting your heels come up really high by your butt when you're not up at full speed is less than optimal, okay? So coming out of the blocks, you really want a low heel recovery. So definitely I can tell that Finn is either well coached or somebody who watches a lot of videos and is able to transfer this knowledge. Okay, this I don't like. I was liking everything until the 8th step. For some reason, Finn, you had 7 great steps and then you decide to put that leg way out in front of you, which tells me you're putting on the brakes. Like you're going, yeah, I'm ready to go full speed. And here I can, let me put on the brakes, right? So, yeah, you're slowing down. You don't realize it, but you're doing it in order to get composure and to gain control as you go over that hurdle. I'm pretty convinced of it. Either that or all that's wrong and you just got here and went, whoa, I am too far from this first hurdle, so I got to stretch out to get there. It's going to be one of those, and I'm going to know when I see your second, oh wait, I don't see your second hurdle. Shoot. So I can't tell if my theory is right or not. So again, it's either you are subconsciously putting on the brakes or you were too far away and you had to make a last second adjustment. Either way, it slowed you down and you're too high. Look at that. Your hips, you're like a foot off that hurdle. So we've got to work on that. So fortunately, you and I are going to be working together a lot. Somebody I was looking at, Garrett, noticed Garrett, I was complaining about your trail leg. This is the way your trail leg is supposed to be, except Finn is supposed to be standing up a little bit more at this point. I'm going to work on him on that. You want to drop that lead leg down, pull your hips forward so you're standing up tall and your knees up really high like this, which also helps bring your lead leg down fast. And then really powerful, boom, getting to that next hurdle right there. So Finn, you've got a lot of really great things going on, but you got a few things that we're going to work on immediately. And everybody watching, hopefully you can pick up on that. Let me jump to see. Okay, let me change my view here to get to this, which I should have done before. You go back to YouTube. The only other question I have is also from Xavier. Should I start using blocks? I didn't realize you weren't using blocks. I haven't really had enough experience with them as of late, and I'm competing in another championship meet. Okay. Great question, Xavier. My profound answer to that is use blocks if they make you faster. Too many young athletes just think, I got to use blocks because everybody uses blocks. And they start doing that, but they're slower using blocks than they are without blocks. And if that's the case, then no, don't use blocks. So you want to see whichever gets you to that first hurdle fastest. So that's the answer. I don't know when your next race is. If you have time to practice blocks and get some help with that, I don't have a block video made. Someday I will do that, but that's low on my priority list. My priorities right now are making some hurdle videos for coaches and athletes. I will get to blocks and starts some other time. But right now, if you can learn it and do it, great. But if not, just keep doing what you're doing, and it's better. Again, not using blocks is better than using blocks and being slow. That's really obvious, but it's that's a good answer for that. Okay, let's see. I don't have any other questions, but I did get some questions this week, so I'll just talk about those. And while I'm doing that, if anybody has a question for me, feel free to drop it in here. And always keep in mind throughout the week, if you say, hey, I want to have this guy look at my video, or if you want me to answer your questions, best way to do that, and my priority is going into Team ACE, which is my community. It's free, and you can drop your videos in there and questions in there. And those are the ones that I access to do at my live streams. You could also email, but I'm prioritizing Team ACE right now because that's what I'm trying to build up. But questions that I got in there this week. Somebody told me that they've watched my videos on how to stay low over the hurdle, and they've been trying it, but they're still too high over the hurdle. And they tried to describe their technique, and it didn't make any sense to me. So I just said, hey, send me a video. I can't really tell without looking at your video. But here's my big answer to that is if you are working on what I'm telling you, or the videos that I'm showing you, and you're still going too high, then it's obvious you're still not doing what I'm telling you to do on the video, which is to plant that lead leg underneath you, drive your knee to the top of the hurdle, and doing that. So if you're trying that, but you still can't, it's obvious that that's confidence or a lack of confidence. So you don't have belief that you can do this. So you're still, because you're afraid to crash into the hurdle, you're still jumping too high. So it doesn't matter how many books you read, how many people you ask, how many videos you watch. If you don't have the confidence that you can actually do it, it doesn't matter. So the hard reality is if you don't have a lot of confidence, you have to question whether hurdling is for you, because that's one of the attributes a hurdler needs. You need to be fast, you need to be aggressive, you need to be able to understand the way your body is moving, so you can hear feedback and change it. But you also need to be athletic, but you also need to have confidence. Otherwise, it's very, very frustrating. But to gain the confidence, go with a low hurdle, go with a soft hurdle, go with a drop breakdown hurdle, whatever it takes to practice the sensation of hurdling and going flat, or I should say staying horizontal versus going vertical. And then once you feel that, like, okay, that's what it feels like, then you can put a low hurdle there and stay and do it, and then a little higher and achieve it, and a little higher and achieve it, and then say, okay, so it really wasn't a matter of confidence, or maybe it was, but I get it now, and I understand the sensation of what it feels like to stay horizontal or flat. So now I can do that. So that's my answer there. Still waiting on another question. In the meantime, I got one more question that was sent to me this week, and that was from a middle school hurdler who's really good, who had previously started off as a 5-stepper, then successfully did 4-stepping, but now wants to transfer into 3-stepping. And they had based on my recommendations in my videos and possibly in one of my live streams, pulled their hurdles in closer, had them 12 inches closer, and sent me a video. And the guy was very comfortably hurdling that with 3 steps. And my feedback to this person, I'm just going to share it with you, is, look, if he can do that, because he didn't even appear to me to be going full speed. So if he can do that at less than full speed and at 12 inches closer in practice, 100%, no doubt in my mind, he'll be able to do that in a meet, even if that meet was tomorrow and his meet he had another week to go. Because here's the thing that people just really need to understand is at practice, for multiple reasons. One, because you don't have the excitement and the adrenaline of a meet, you never have as much energy as you do at a meet. So it's hard to hurdle full height, full spacing at practice, and you end up doing it poorly. And if you practice poorly, then you're going to race poorly. So I always tell people, pull the hurdles in closer, drop the hurdles down a click, and practice like that, so you have good repetitions in practice, learn how to do it properly, gain confidence, and then you can go do it in a meet. So honestly, if you're within 12 inches at practice, you can race, and it would probably feel exactly the same. I know, it's crazy. 6 inches is a no-brainer. If you can get it to half that, to 6 inches, you're ready for the end of the season. So if you can do it 12 inches in this time of year, no problem at all. Okay, I hope everybody understood that. Here's a new question that I got. Hey coach, I'm 5'4" girl with a sprinter's build. I'm gonna be trying hurdles this track season. Will my height and stockiness be a disadvantage? Okay. I have some funny things in my head. It's reminding me of Lord of the Rings, when the short one with the beard was talking about how he couldn't keep up with them because he had a sprinter's body. Anyway, well, sprinters, so you'll know, aren't all stocky. It just means that they tend to, if you heard me last week talk about muscle fiber types, if you have a lot of fast twitch muscle, those muscle fiber types are thicker, more powerful, which is really great for explosiveness and sprinting. So that's good. That's a good thing. So I'm going to if you're stockier on top of that, maybe you need to lose some weight, I don't know. But let me just say, if you have a sprinter's build, that's fantastic. That's what you need for the 100-meter hurdles and 60-meter hurdles. But then the 5'4", no concern at all. The girl or lady who has the world's record right now, I can't remember her name at the moment. She's not from the United States. She competes at the University of Texas at El Paso, and she won the world championship this past summer. She's 5'1". So, and the girl from Jamaica who got second place, I believe, at the Olympics, the most recent Olympics, maybe she got third, I'm not sure. She's also very short, somewhere between 5 foot, 5'1" and 5'2". So the answer is no problem. That's not a hindrance. In fact, there's a new girl who I'm picking up, a high school sophomore, who's joining my ACE hurdler subscription, who I'm going to be working with on a regular basis now. She's also 5'4", and she and her parent were wondering if that was too low, and I said no problem at all. She's very fast. So you do need to be fast though to compensate, but that's not a problem at all. So I hope that answered your question. And I don't have any other questions at the moment. I've gone over 5 or 6 videos today. I've answered 3 questions. What I'll do really quickly to give somebody who might want to throw another question in, I'll do the same thing that I did at the beginning. Let me wrong thing, don't click on that mic. Okay. Yeah, okay, while I'm waiting for video, just as a quick pitch, let me just tell people, if you're unfamiliar, this is the hurdler page of my acemethodcoaching.com website. Here's a little introductory video. I like to post on here nowadays my next live stream. I've been doing them at 5 p.m., but I did this week at 3 p.m. just because of the Super Bowl in a few hours, and I didn't want to miss that. But I'm open to suggestions if people want to tell me other times you want to do it. I have quite a few people. I get a lot of questions and a lot of followers from South Africa and then Australia. What I don't know is, on your part of the world, what would be a more ideal time for a live stream? I would love to know that, so let me know. I do have some free things. This is a really good video that I'm super proud of, that does a good job of showing you technique that everybody needs to learn. This is a way, if you want me to check out your video for free, this link will take you over to my Team ACE, which looks like this, and it's a Discord server. So this is my community for my business, which is really taking off, or exploding, I should say, these days. But you can drop in some free videos in here. This is a free community for people that want to learn, people that want to get help. They're asking questions and they're getting answers from me and other coaches and athletes. They're putting in videos and they're getting advice from me, but also they can sometimes say, hey, anybody who wants to give me advice, it's in there. I have instructional videos in here, some that I don't even have on YouTube. Like this video right here is not on YouTube. And it's a really good video to tell you about sprinting technique and what drills will help you be better. Then also I'm posting workouts right now. I'm posting workouts for off season to get ready for the spring season. So you can get these there. So back to the website. Hurdling 101 is a really good instructional video with a PDF download to walk you step by step through how to go from absolute beginner to really proficient. The training plan are actually workouts, literally walking you through step by step every day 3 workouts a week for hurdling, and then step by step, like how to do those workouts. Like the detail is a ton. And these are my 2 subscriptions where people like having me as their virtual hurdle coach, and they're sending me regular videos all the time. This is an example. This is a young kid from South Africa that I work with. Sends me videos on a regular basis. I look at them. We're sending back and forth videos. Here's where I'm sending videos back, giving him feedback, helping him with workouts, whatever. And I've got several people that I do this with throughout the world. And then Team ACE, which is new, which is the free community that I'm building up for people who want that. But anyway, let's see here. Let me bounce back to YouTube. And okay, so I don't have any other questions, so I am going to, let me finish on the right screen. I'm going to end this live stream. This is good. 6 videos to look at and 4 questions to answer. This is good. So I hope this helped. Hope it's obvious that I'm somebody who likes to help people, and I've got so much experience in this world, and it's become my niche. And I help all levels of hurdlers, from Olympic wannabes to middle schoolers who are just starting out, and everything in between. And I have experience coaching all those levels, and I just love this so much. So anyway, thank you for watching and attending, and look forward to next week. Look on my website to see what time. If I don't get any other suggestions for people, it's either going to be 3, 4, or 5 o'clock Eastern time next week as well, unless